But
We don't make any moral claims.
yeah, but your conclusion that atheists cannot say that something is evil, I don't see how you've gotten to that conclusion. I can still, even if morality is subjective, I can still determine the difference between good and evil, or
So
right
where
and
does,
wrong.
okay, cool. So let's take
You
that
know,
scenario. Let's say there is good and evil in an
sure.
atheistic worldview. Where does that come from?
It depends on the atheist. You
It
know,
depends, which is moral relativism, which
sure.
is this is exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, but that problem's not solved by religion because the same thing exists in every religion. Your religious faith may tell you that this is moral, and somebody else's religious faith may tell them that it's not. So
And from an
there's no
atheistic,
difference.
so
What was
yeah,
that?
so you're probably using the Old Testament laws to say the Bible has immoral commands in it, right?
Sure.
Yes, which I
Hmm.
think makes a lot of sense,
I
right?
think I
Like,
actually have problems with the New Testament as well, but mostly the Old Testament. But go on.
so okay, let's talk about the New Testament ones. I'd love to hear
Okay.
those. I actually, those would be a better point of conversation. But
What? Why? Why would they? Why would that be better? Because this is something that a lot of Christians do. They like to prop up the New Testament as though, see, it
yes,
is clearly moral in the New Testament, and they don't want to ever talk about the Old Testament. But the New Testament comes from the Old Testament, so you still have to have some kind of explanation for why Old Testament laws can be viewed as moral, even
totally.
when
And
they
then
seem to be immoral,
at
right?
some totally, absolutely. At some point, there is a necessary faith, right? And there is a faith required in atheism, which is the point of this post. Like, if you're going to say God doesn't exist, you're believing that. But
Well, that's
the
if the atheist says that, but not that's not the atheistic position necessarily.
it
the The atheistic position is I don't believe that a God
and
exists.
maybe I'm over assuming, but
Yeah,
the majority of the people
some
that I've
atheists do say there is no God, and
strong
that would be
atheism.
strong atheist, right? Sure,
Yes.
but not every atheist says that. In fact, most that I've encountered would describe themselves as weak atheists. But
Which is cool, bro. Like, that's encouraging. Like, because I thought you were either a theist or a strong atheist, but I'm learning a ton
Mhm.
about atheism. Anyways,
So let me just bring this up first. Do you think that the slavery that it mentioned in the Old Testament, was that a moral law that was given?
dude, this is what I'll say about slavery. Every
Okay.
single empire was founded on slavery. Not the colonial slavery that we're thinking of, right? Where like it's like what happened to African Americans, like what Martin Luther King fought for. That's a different type of like, and maybe not in the fullest sense, but in the Old Testament in ancient times, if you were any country, period, you had slaves. The Bible
Okay.
instructed on how to treat these slaves. Don't kill them,
So
right?
why was that necessary? Why wouldn't it just say slavery is bad and don't have slaves?
And like,
Because
listen,
it's not just the other societies. These commandments were only they were given to the Hebrews, which were
exactly.
God's chosen people, right? So this is
Yes.
God giving his laws to Moses, to the
Yep.
Israelites, about how to own slaves.
How to treat them, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, well, just the fact that they could own them at all.
I mean,
Like he says that they're allowed to own them.
there's no command own slaves, right? It's like if you own a slave, don't kill them, which in other
No, no.
cultures,
But the point is, there's no command to not own slaves. Like there shouldn't be a command. There obviously shouldn't be a command to own slaves. There should be a command to not own slaves.
but again, this is a recounting of it's like a news reporter, right? Talking about like, hey, this happened. So and
No,
so was
no, it's
murdered.
not. It's actually God giving commandments to Moses to tell him to give to the Hebrews.
So in the
He comes
same
down with the Ten
sense,
Commandments and then
well, the
the
Ten Commandments don't.
603 other ones.
Yeah, the Ten Commandments don't have anything about slaves in them, right?
Right, but
Um,
the other 603 do.
on it
There's
because
more than just 10 commandments.
the people had slaves, like they did. Like, is it moral or immoral? Again, you can't use that word as an atheist. If you don't believe in God, there's no way to call slavery objectively moral
Let me
or
ask
immoral.
you,
Just
all right, I'm
is.
an atheist, so you're invalidating my ability to call something moral. You're a Christian, so you believe that there's morality and immorality, right?
I'm saying
As a
from it,
Christian, do you believe that slavery is moral?
no.
Okay, so slavery is not moral. Why then does God allow it?
That so you're invoking the question of if God, why evil, which you cannot. That was the beginning of us talking, was that question. If
I
you are
missed
an
the beginning,
atheist,
so
no,
yeah.
the beginning of
But
us talking was on that claim. I said if you are
okay.
an atheist, there is no objective morality.
Right, but you're a Christian. I'm asking you because you're a Christian, and you said that you can distinguish between what's moral and what's not. So you
I believe
just said
The
slavery.
Bible distinguishes between what's right and wrong, not me,
Well,
because
but
me
you
is
can
more of an
determine.
atheistic worldview.
You just said that you didn't believe that slavery was moral. You think that slavery is immoral.
I don't
That's what
think
you just
slavery is
said, right?
correct. Yep.
Right. So then wouldn't it follow that God should have some sort of commandment to outlaw slavery because it's immoral?
You can't, like, the Bible does not condone, command, advocate for slavery. It
Yes, it
describes
absolutely
that.
does. It actually
Which verse?
advocates for it.
Which verse?
Many verses. There's verses in Exodus that
There,
advocate for it. There's
that
verses in
talk about
Leviticus. There's
slavery, but do
verses in the
not.
New Testament that permit it.
There's in Ephesians, right?
I'm sorry, hold on. You just said the verses that talk about it but don't advocate it.
I'm telling you, there's nothing in the Bible that
Have
commands,
you read?
advocates, or condones.
Have you Sorry, I'm just. Have you read the book of Leviticus?
Yes.
You
Show me, like,
have.
show me
Have
that
you
where
read?
the.
Okay, how about Leviticus 25 then?
Let's check it out. 25, what verse?
I mean, the one that stands out for me the most is verses 44 through 46, but it's really the whole chapter. The beginning of the chapter is talking about how to own fellow Hebrew slaves.
Yep. So your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves.
Now, just stop right there for a second.
Done. We're done. Yeah, that is saying
That
it's
is
down.
clearly saying you can buy
Yes,
slaves.
I retract
Okay.
everything I said. Yeah, you can buy
Okay.
slaves from the other. Is it moral or immoral? I would say in our today's day and age, it's not. Do you
My
know
question is, you just said in this day and age, it would not be considered moral.
it's
Why
not
would it be?
necessary?
But is it moral?
You have no basis to ask the question as an atheist.
But you're a Christian,
But
therefore you
you're
do.
but you're an
By
atheist.
the way, I used to be a Christian, and I had to ask myself this question, which is
We're
why I'm an atheist now, because the answer was no.
So one, if you read Leviticus, like, do you know that in America you can be forgiven of your debt every 7 years? Do you know where that comes from? The
Yeah,
Bible.
it's from the
It's
Bible.
biblical.
Yeah,
It's biblical, right? In
right,
this, you return people to their lands.
right.
This slavery is as good as slavery can get. One, two.
Well,
Well, no
that's
slavery.
not what this slavery is. You're talking
No
about
slavery.
Hebrew slavery. If you go
Yes.
to the book of Exodus, I think it's Exodus 21. It talks about Hebrew slaves,
Well,
and it makes that declaration.
That's Hebrews being enslaved by Egyptians, right?
No, it's talking. Well, the beginning of Exodus is they were enslaved by the Egyptians, and then Moses brought them out of slavery. But once he brought them out of slavery, when you get to chapter 21, they're now out of slavery. This is Moses coming down from the mountain, giving them all the commandments he started with the 10 commandments and then he continues with the other 600. But, verse 21, it starts talking about slaves.
So you're asking the question, is this moral or amoral?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, as an atheist, that question has no foundation.
Well, as an atheist, you're right. But my basis for morality isn't atheism. I'm not using atheism as my basis for morality.
What is your basis for morality?
Secular humanism.
Which is watered down Christianity.
Without Christ.
With
so
no
not
meaning disrespect.
Christianity at all.
It's watered down. Like, what is,
yeah.
I had to look this
it's
up.
Actually, I would classify it as superior to Christianity. And it doesn't have Christ, so it can't really be called Christianity at all.
With regard in particular, yeah, I think I think it's like if you live the virtues of Christ, you're going to blow secular humanism out of the, like, you actually have ways to do it. Whereas secular humanism, this is so vague. Belief that humanity is capable of morality and self-humiliate.
Yeah, I don't know what you're reading. I define secular humanism as that which promotes humankind, that which is beneficial. So well-being, basically, what's well-being for humans.
So here's the problem with that definition. Let's say that we're overpopulated. It would benefit mankind to kill a lot of people. You could justify killing people through secular humanism. If we don't kill everyone, we're all going to die.
Well, that's kind of a false dichotomy, first of all, because it implies that killing people would be the only way to deal with overpopulation. It wouldn't be.
It sounds like your problem with the Bible is that there's slavery in it.
That's one of my problems with the Bible. That's just one problem. And I don't see how that problem has ever been resolved or explained away by any Christian. But there are many more besides that, genocide being another one,
Yeah, right? Like they wiped people out. Like that's what you did as a warring country, right? But like what is the pot to tell the potter how it should be? So at some point, yes, there's a faith. And these stories are specifically the initial roadblocks. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like slavery, like
what here's my test. Here's my test for whether or not something is moral. I mean, I have my own, I already told you what my standard is, but I like to ask Christians whether or not, because the reason why I asked you whether you believe that slavery was moral or not was to see whether or not you could justify biblical slavery. I would ask you the same question about genocide. Is genocide moral?
If it's from God, yes. And that answer, because
is it moral because it's from God and that's the only requirement for morality?
Because of the initial claim. Yes, because of the initial claim. Without an absolute moral lawgiver, there is no absolute morality.
Doesn't that mean that religion can be used to justify anything? Anything becomes moral as long as God says it.
Bro, why do you think ISIS is doing what they're doing? Like in the Quran and the Hadiths, you are supposed to kill infidels.
Yes.
Like this, if you lived out, this is the problem with Christianity and.
So by your argument, that's moral.
I would say that the God of Islam is not the God of the Bible.
Well,
so no.
Regardless, they're using the same justification you just used. To them, these are commands that come from God. So
yes, but I would say that.
You're calling them immoral. They're calling you immoral. I'm calling both of it immoral because it's antithetical to.
Let's go to the New Testament.